Don't answer. In the winter of 1997, a man named Liam Forrester, a quiet wildlife photographer from Vermont, disappeared without a trace while hiking alone through deadroot pines, a dense stretch of forest notorious for sudden snowstorms and, stranger things, his body was never found, only his camera, and what was left inside it changed the lives of those who dared to look. You see, long before modern maps and hiking trails, the native Algonquin tribes told stories about an ancient evil that lived in the frozen woods, a creature of hunger and madness, a spirit that could steal your voice and wear your skin. They called it the Wendigo. Some say it's just legend, a cautionary tale told during bitter winters to scare children into staying near the fire. Others believe it's real, and if what Liam captured is authentic, then the Wendigo is still out there, waiting, watching, and calling. Deadroot Pines is not on most maps. You have to find it the old way, through local directions and whispered warnings. Locals in northern Vermont say that it's cursed, that the trees there grow in twisted spirals, and no birds sing past a certain ridge. Some refuse to even utter the name after sunset, but Liam Forrester wasn't superstitious. He was a man of logic, of light meters and shutter speeds. He'd spent years capturing the raw beauty of untouched wilderness, often venturing where few had gone. When he heard stories of an untouched stretch of pine forest bordering the Canadian border, thick with snow and silence, he saw an opportunity for his next photo essay. He told his sister he'd be gone for 4 days. He never came back. When search and rescue teams found his campsite 5 days later, the firewood was neatly stacked, his tent still pitched. His journal noted low temperatures and a sighting of movement in the trees. But the last entry, scrawled messily, read only 2 words: voices calling. Inside his backpack, investigators found a half-damaged roll of undeveloped film, and when they processed it, frame by frame, they found something terrifying. The film inside Liam's camera was badly damaged by the cold, but the first half of the roll developed cleanly. Most of it showed what you'd expect: still shots of snowy pine trees, the amber light of dawn casting long shadows across frozen ground, and several photos of deer, timid, unaware. But the last 6 shots were different. The first was blurry. Liam had clearly moved while taking it. A shape, too tall to be a deer, stood between the trees. Skeletal, pale. At first glance, it looked like a trick of the light, until you saw the eyes. No reflection, just black. The second photo was closer, zoomed in. The same shape now halfway between the trees, its limbs bent in unnatural angles, its fingers so long they scraped the snow. The third, taken from the ground, as if Liam had fallen. The figure was closer now, and behind it, something even more terrifying. Footprints in the snow that stopped just before the shape, but never began. The fourth and fifth were unusable. Whiteout blur, lens flare, movement. But the sixth, the final frame on the roll, it was taken in pitch darkness. Only the faint beam of Liam's headlamp illuminated what stood just feet from him. A face, not a mask, not an animal. Gaunt, gray, human, but not. Sunken cheeks, lips torn away, and eyes that weren't eyes at all, just void. And in the corner of the image, scribbled into the snow by shaking hands, it spoke with my voice. 2 months after Liam's disappearance, 2 local hunters, brothers, decided to investigate Deadroot Pines on their own. They weren't ghost chasers. They didn't believe in spirits, but they knew the land better than anyone and felt confident they could find answers, or at least bring back Liam's remains. They entered the forest before sunrise. Only one of them came back. His name was Eli Carter. When found, he was barefoot, frostbitten, and speaking in tongues. He couldn't recall where he'd been. His eyes were swollen shut and his palms were raw, as if he had crawled through snow for miles. When asked where his brother was, he said something the sheriff never forgot. He followed a voice that sounded like mine. Over time, Eli regained fragments of memory. He remembered hearing his brother call out, urgently, fearfully, from deep within the woods. And when he followed, he found footprints, human, leading toward a ravine. But at the edge, they stopped. No body, no broken trees, no sign of a fall, just empty snow, and claw marks. Eli tried to turn back, but something followed him, mimicking sounds, snapping branches, whispering in his ear. He ran until he passed out. Since that day, Eli never entered the woods again. He moved south, changed his name, and refused all interviews. But his testimony remained, and it matched Liam's film. For centuries, the Algonquin tribes told stories of the Wendigo as more than a beast. It was a warning, a spirit born not just from hunger, but from despair. It doesn't always appear with antlers or deformed limbs. Sometimes it doesn't appear at all. It doesn't need to. It speaks. With your mother's voice, your child's laughter, your own cries for help. It finds those who are isolated, wounded, lost. It sows confusion, lures them into the cold, and takes. In 2008, a group of hikers camping near Deadroot Pines reported hearing a woman screaming for help in the forest. They claimed it sounded like a recording, looped, repeating the same, "Please, help me," again and again. They packed up and left that night. 3 days later, park rangers found their campsite empty. No struggle, no gear missing, just dozens of bare footprints in the snow leading away from the fire in all directions, and then abruptly stopping. One of the rangers, who asked not to be named, said this, "You know how snow keeps sounds soft? That night it didn't. I could hear breathing behind me the entire time. But when I turned around, there was nothing there." So is the Wendigo real? Or is it just the name we give to the fear that hides in the trees when the cold bites and the dark speaks? Maybe it doesn't matter, because Liam Forrester's camera, the Carter brothers' account, and the hikers who never came home, they all point to the same truth. Something is out there, and it's still hungry. Years have passed since Liam Forrester vanished into the pines. The snow that buried his footprints has long melted. New trees have grown. New hikers have wandered into the same stretch of forest, unaware of what was once lost there. And yet, the stories haven't stopped. A retired ranger still swears he saw a man walking barefoot through the woods at dusk, mouth open, eyes vacant, leaving no trail behind him. A hunter claimed he saw something crouched at the edge of a frozen lake, mimicking the cries of a wounded child, over and over, like a broken recording. And once, just once, a local said he found a camera, half frozen, half buried under the snow. When he looked through the viewfinder, the last image burned into the screen wasn't a face, it was a mouth, wide open, still whispering, but no sound came out. You see, the Wendigo isn't just a monster. It's not a ghost with claws or a cryptid you can capture on film. The Wendigo is what waits for us in silence. It's the hunger that grows when the world forgets you. The madness that creeps in when you scream and no one answers. It's grief, rotting, memory, frozen, a voice in the dark. That sounds like your own. They say the Wendigo targets the weak, the desperate, but that's not the full truth. It doesn't find the broken. It breaks those it finds. Because once you've heard your own name echo back from the woods, warped and cold and unfamiliar, you're never quite the same again. So what do we take from this? Not everyone who disappears in the wilderness is lost, and not every haunting needs a ghost. Sometimes the most terrifying thing out there is what waits in our own minds when we're alone too long. The Wendigo may not be real in the way we think of monsters, tangible, trackable, killable, but the fear it represents, that's very real. It's the fear of isolation, of being forgotten, of slipping beneath the surface while the world carries on above. So if you ever find yourself deep in the woods and you hear someone call your name, don't answer. Even if it sounds like someone you love, even if it sounds like you, because the Wendigo is still out there, and it's still hungry.